Honestly, unbelievable it was. I sat and watched it and I just shook my head and laughed, man. It was brilliant. Villarreal spurned a number of chances and could have been further ahead before United's comeback. United fans had their say as they called into Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy last night on the Sports Bar.
I feel sorry for Donny van de Beek. He's ruining his career. There's people writing the guy off beginning of the season. I've heard some people writing him off, saying, "Oh, Henderson's a better goalkeeper." Well, I think he's kept them quiet tonight, hasn't it?
I challenge any Man United fan in the world to be happy with what they saw tonight. That was a disgrace, and he got rescued at the last minute. And do you know what? For once, I'm glad Ronaldo scored that goal. No one can deny what Ronaldo can do. He's amazing.
Well, got out of jail. Very poor. But honestly, right, I just genuinely feel like we're going to moments our way to the Champions League final.
I love Ollie. I love him. I'll be honest, yeah. I honestly think Ronnie's kept Ollie in a job tonight. I think that is the worst match I've ever seen United play at Old Trafford.
What'd you make of that, Ali?
Well, it's a bit strong. I've got to say, that's a bit strong. I mean, there's no way it was the worst match he's ever seen at Old Trafford. But I get the point. I can understand their disappointment and frustration. But, as I said, I was watching both games last night. I quite enjoyed it. I mean, the place...
It can't be the worst game.
There's nothing like the worst game.
I've only seen the highlights, but I know it wasn't the worst game.
There's no way it was the worst game. It was actually, good game to watch, to tell you the truth. I mean, they get themselves back in with a brilliant goal, brilliant, well-worked goal, the volley, and you could just sense the stadium, begin to believe, and then the last-minute goal with Ronaldo. But listen, they might not have liked everything they saw, but the worst game, come on, do me a favour.
For more of Manchester United's late Champions League win, we're joined now by Manchester football writer for The Sun, Neil Custis, who joins us, was there last night. Neil, a very good morning.
Very good morning, Neil.
Hi, good morning, Alan. How are you?
Neil, sum it up. Not United's best performance, but got the victory, and Cristiano, again, amazing, coming to the rescue.
Well, I know, and I wonder why we're surprised. How many times do we see this in Manchester United? There's just something in their DNA. There's something in their belief, even through the years where they haven't been winning trophies, where they just pluck these results out. From getting the equaliser, which was an incredible strike, there was a wave of sort of optimism that got them going forward. They weren't playing terribly well. I agree with some of the callers there. Had United passed the ball around like Villarreal, we'd be having a very different conversation now about how well they're playing. Yeah. But they didn't do that. But they still have that belief, and they still have that man Cristiano Ronaldo, which made it all the more strange why he was taken off against Young Boys in Bern with about 10 minutes to go. Because the attention that he was getting from about three defenders was then taken away, which allowed them to press more. So, for all Ollie's saying what a phenomenon he is and he can always do this and stay focused, he took him off in that game and he shouldn't have done. And I think that cost Manchester United. But, again, he didn't have a great game against Aston Villa. He didn't have a great game last night, but then he is just always there. He is always ready. And but also I have to credit Jesse Lingard for
brilliant
the way he towed the ball back out to him. I thought that was absolutely fantastic, and he'd only been on the pitch about 20 seconds when he did that.
I was going to ask you, mate. I mean, I know he got a little bit. Well, he never got a little bit of stick. He got a big bit of stick, and that was Unai Emery. But I tell you what, he does know how to set his side up. Were you surprised? Because I was pleasantly surprised at the level of quality of football that Villarreal played. Do you think that actually surprised and shocked a little bit the United support?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never known the ground as quiet as that, because they were at times gasping at particularly the first half, where De Gea's had to make 3 or 4 top-class saves. And the way they shifted the ball, the way they moved it about. I mean, this is a club that, was shorn of two of its best players for the game as well, due to injury and suspension. But I think they're unbeaten this season. They came very close to beating Atletico, the champions, came very close to beating Real Madrid. And they beat Manchester United in the final of the Europa League. So, we sometimes, I think we sometimes traditionally look at the name and think, that's not a big club, that's not a big team, without looking at the sum of the parts and what they're actually doing currently.
You mentioned De Gea there, and I said to Ali earlier that he has been a great servant for United. He had a couple of mediocre seasons where people saying, it's time to get rid. But once again, he's come up trumps for Ollie.
Well, I think actually the purchase of Dean Henderson has actually done it, because he came back early from his holidays. He rang Solskjaer and said, I want to come back early. I want to work hard. He realised that his place was under threat. I mean, I know that Solskjaer was planning on starting the season with Henderson had he not suffered from long COVID. Mm-hmm. But De Gea has kicked himself in the backside, I think, because I think he became a bit lackadaisical knowing that the number one spot was his. But now he is back to his very best. I mean, this is as good as I've seen him for 4 or 5 years. Some of the saves he's making, and he is again looking like someone who, earns you points rather than costs you points.
Neil, I was going to say to you, mate, I mean, all in all, when we take a step back, and if United come out the group section, we'll have forgotten about last night, but you've got to look at it. I've gone on record to say, I think we did a discussion last week, I think defensively they're absolutely miles better. Now, we're talking about a side last night that didn't have Wan-Bissaka, Maguire or Shaw in it, but that's not the area I want to ask you about, because probably the most talked about area is just in front of the two centre-backs, and last night it went with McTominay and Pogba. How did you think that looked?
Well, I mean, I'm bemused by the criticism of the fact that McTominay's chosen. I mean, I think Scott McTominay's an excellent player. He's come through the academy. Yeah. He knows what it means to play for Manchester United. He gives the side energy. I think he's an excellent player, and I think, again, had he been bought for 70 million quid, then people might have a different opinion of him because he's come through the academy. I think sometimes people think, oh, well, should he be playing? He's not really a star. He's not this, that, and the other. He's an excellent player, Scott McTominay. And I think every time you have him on the pitch, I think you've got a player that is giving 100% and also doing a very good job in that position. Pogba, again, was Pogba, and Pogba is very different at Man United than he was at Juventus, in probably a better team, very different to when he plays for France, and he's just very, very average. I mean, if Paul Pogba left Man United tomorrow, I don't think the standard of the team goes down.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.